Hi guys, Olive here today to review The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. This book was published in 2013 by Riverhead, and my paperback copy comes in at 501 pages. This book is essentially the life story of Alma Whitaker, who was born at the turn of the 19th century in Philadelphia to a Dutch mother and to a father who created a botanical company and turned it into an empire. As we can see in the book, Alma is very studious growing up. She's taught by both of her parents to be stoic and serious, but also at the exact same time curious about the world and eternally questioning. Just like her father, or perhaps in part because of her father, she's very interested in the natural world, particularly in plants. And speaking of her father, the early part of the book actually does focus on her father's background, how he went from a mischievous teenager to a shrewd explorer to eventually turn himself into the richest man in Philadelphia. He is a very robust character, to say the least. He has a ton of personality, and he casts a very long shadow in this novel and in Alma's life. It's not as though his section was put there just to prop Alma up or explain things about why she is the way she is. He is very much his own character. He really has a place in the book. This is a rather long book, and it is divided into 5 parts. As I mentioned, that first part belongs to her father. It gives his background, and then the remaining 4 parts essentially each cover a different phase of Alma's life. So her girlhood, her young adulthood, and then it moves into her adult years and then her elderly years. One thing I was really struck by is Alma's age for the majority of this book. We are a third of the way into the book when Alma reaches her late 40s. Many epic novels like this will focus so much on the character's young life. We'll see all the failures and successes of their young life, and then we'll kind of fast forward and see where they end up in later life. Not in this novel. In fact, most of the excitement of Alma's life starts in her 50s. Not only did I personally really like that, but I also think it's so important to have novels like that. If you didn't already know this, I recently turned 30, and I have definitely noticed that so many novels out there focus heavily on the younger parts of a character's life, as though implying that we will all live our best or most significant years during that time period, and then we'll just spend the rest of our existence ruminating upon them. As I begin to look ahead at later life, I think it's pretty dismal to imagine that I'll just be done learning and growing by age 50. I'll just be thinking back to my earlier years and thinking about how wonderful it was to be young. No, I like to think that just like Alma, my greatest adventures lie ahead. Really, I think Alma's personal evolution throughout this whole book, not just the early sections, this whole book, shows that one never stops learning and growing. Our lives and everyone within them will always have things to show us, things to teach us. Alma is a good person. She is a brilliant scientist. She's thoughtful. She's organized. She is hungry for knowledge. But also, her isolated nature can make her slightly self-involved. She can be oblivious and self-pitying. But she's willing to grow, change, and adapt. By the end of the book, Darwin's theories are starting to emerge, and we get to see how they intersect with all the research that Alma has been doing about mosses for a significant part of her life. And I think also by the end of the book, you realize that this has been a novel all about this character, and more importantly, about the personal evolution of this character. How, like all of the creatures in this world, our own personal struggles and the things we come up against force us to change and adapt to the future that lies ahead. How much strength there is and a willingness to bend, and how much beauty and resilience we can see in the natural world and from which we can take inspiration. There is a grandeur in this view of life indeed. This is a brilliant novel. The writing is crisp and it is witty. The tone varies perfectly to suit Alma's frame of mind. Sometimes it is aflame with curiosity. Other times it is heavy with sorrow, but most frequently it is quiet and considered in her moments of concentration. As such, this is not a thrilling book. This is a contemplative book. This is one of those quietly powerful books you will always hear me raving about. I must say that I very easily get frustrated with books that are over 400 pages. With very few exceptions, I think the perfect length of a novel is somewhere between 300 and 400 pages. I don't think books that are longer than that necessarily necessarily need to be that long. I think they just need some editing to remove unnecessary sections to get them into that range. I'm very picky with that. Most of the time when I'm reading a book that's over 400 pages, I'm ready for it to be over about 50 pages before it actually ends. Not once during this novel's 500 pages did I have that thought. The pace is slow the whole way through, but I didn't find that it dragged at all. Instead, by the end of the book, you feel like you've gotten the truest sense of this character, and you get to feel that you've contemplated life alongside of her entire life long. This is absolutely 100% a new favorite book for me. I adore nature writing, and it's essentially a requirement of a book that it make me think in order to earn a gold star. And this delivered that in such a huge way. And not only that, it'll touch your heart as much as it touches your mind. And every single high in this book, every single low felt earned. It is a real achievement of a book, plain and simple. It was a joy to read, and it will be a treasure to continue to chew on these ideas for a long time to come. So that was my review of The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. Please let me know if you've read this book, if you've heard about this book, or if you're now interested in reading this book after hearing me gush about it. You can let me know that or any other comments or questions you may have down in the comment section below. But if you'd prefer to find me somewhere other than YouTube, I am on a variety of different places on social media, and the links to all of my profiles will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.